orders are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m., a group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PH Vote 2013.
Today on Rappler, the Philippines fails to get an aviation upgrade. A congressman faces charges for falsifying fund release orders. And Taiwan and China hold their first government-to-government talks after 65 years.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Philippine aviation is stuck at Category 2. It fails to get a much-coveted upgrade from the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, which still found the country unsafe in a recent audit. This means the Philippines is still banned from opening new routes to the U.S. In January, an FAA team reviewed the compliance of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, with international safety standards. Sources say CAAP failed to pass in 4 of 8 critical elements. The FAA is monitoring for safety oversight compliance. In 2008, the FAA downgraded CAAP's safety rating upon the recommendation of the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO. At the time, ICAO found significant concerns over CAAP's ability to meet international safety standards. CAAP has been working on getting the upgrade for 7 years now. Deputy Director General John Andrews earlier said he was confident the regulator would get the upgrade, saying he would resign if it didn't happen. Last year, ICAO gave the Philippines a passing mark, and the European Union allowed Philippine Airlines to fly to the 28-nation bloc. Andrews said, "If it does not happen, the buck stops at me. If this does not happen, I will no longer be here. That is my commitment." The National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, recommends the filing of charges against Aklan Representative Chodorico Haresco Jr. and 4 others for falsifying fund release orders from the Budget Department. The NBI is investigating the alleged release of fake Special Allotment Release Orders, or SAROs, for 879 million pesos worth of farm-to-market roads in Region 2, or Cagayan Valley. The SAROs had signatures of agriculture officials, later found to be fake. Justice Secretary Laila de Lima previously said the case involves a possible inside job at the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM. She says some DBM employees, quote, hinted the involvement of some other employees and a high-ranking official in SARO peddling. In a press conference, Haresco asks why he is the only one being implicated out of the 32 representatives allegedly involved. He also says his office had no capability to produce fake documents. Senator Jinggoy Estrada says pork barrel conduit Ruby Tuason met with whistleblower Ben-Hur Luy to orchestrate the testimony against him. Estrada refers to the meeting between Tuason and Luy at the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, Monday. The senator says Tuason never had a record of the alleged transactions in the scam, where lawmakers allegedly siphoned their pork barrel to fake NGOs in exchange for kickbacks. In her affidavit, Tuason did not present a record of the alleged kickback she delivered to Estrada and Senate Minority Leader Juan Ponce Enrile. But an Inquirer report on Tuesday quotes Tuason as saying the commission she handed Estrada was 35 million pesos. Luy's ledger recorded a kickback of 9 million pesos. Estrada says it was clear Tuason, Luy, and the NBI were fabricating the figures to make sure their testimonies align. The spotlight is on the Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, Tuesday during oral arguments before the Supreme Court. The Commission defends its rule allowing the automatic pass-on of generation charges to consumers and denies it abused its powers when it approved the controversial rate hike of power distributor Manila Electric Company, or Meralco. Lawyer Francis Saturnino Juan says the automatic generation rate adjustment, or AGRA rule, encourages the inflow of capital. He adds, without this assurance, no investor will invest. But Justice Marvic Leonen says the ERC should have exercised its regulatory functions when it approved Meralco's proposed increase. Meralco attributes its rate hike to the more expensive power it had to buy from the spot market. Petitioner Bayan Muna Party List Representative Nery Colmenares accused Meralco of helping jack up prices in the spot market through power generation company Therma Mobile. Meralco and Thermamobile have a power supply agreement, or PSA, allowing Meralco to buy 100 megawatts of power at 8 pesos 65 centavos per kilowatt hour. Petitioners say the PSAs have not been disclosed to consumers, giving rise to suspicion of collusion between suppliers and distributors. The University of Santo Tomas will move the opening of classes to July beginning next school year. Student publication The Varsitarian says the shift will apply only to undergraduate and graduate programs. The change is in preparation for the ASEAN regional integration in 2015. The announcement comes 5 days after 2 universities also announced a shift in their academic calendars, the Ateneo de Manila University and the University of the Philippines system. Taiwan and China are back on speaking terms after 65 long years. On Tuesday, representatives from both countries hold their first government-to-government talks since the Civil War in 1949 that caused China and Taiwan to split into 2 independent states. Taiwan's Wang Yuqi meets his Beijing counterpart Zhang Zhijun at former Chinese capital Nanjing. No official agenda has been released for the talks. Wang says he would not sign any agreements, but adds the main purpose of his visit is to, quote, help facilitate mutual understanding. He says, quote, the visit does not come easy. It is the result of interactions between the 2 sides for many years. Tuesday's meeting comes after years of efforts to improve relations, with both sides taking cautious steps towards economic reconciliation in recent years. The meeting is also a gauge to see if talks are possible between Taiwan's President Ma Ying-jeou and China's Xi Jinping. Analysts say chances of that happening anytime soon are slim. Professor Jia Qingguo from Peking University says the potential of this relationship has not been fully tapped by both sides. It will take time for the 2 sides to get really integrated. In June 2010, Taiwan and China signed the Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement, a pact seen as the boldest step yet towards reconciliation. But despite this, both countries shunned all official contact and carried out negotiations through proxies. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, Britain's Environment Agency issues 14 severe flood warnings after the River Thames burst its banks. Officials evacuate residents living along the river as water levels continue to rise. The floods are expected to worsen over the next 24 hours, leaving thousands more at risk. Several Thames River gauges are exhibiting the highest level since being installed in the 1980s and 90s. The government's response draws criticism and is now a full-blown political row, with many blaming the floods on the Environment Agency. Communities Minister Eric Pickles says the government, quote, perhaps relied too much on the Environment Agency's advice on flood prevention. But the agency's head, Chris Smith, hits back, accusing ministers of holding back funds. Despite the criticism, UK Prime Minister David Cameron says it's not the time to change personnel. At number 8, Australian astronomers say they found a star 13.6 billion years old, making it the most ancient star ever seen. Scientists believe the star was formed just a couple of 100 million years after the Big Bang. One way of determining the age of a star is its iron content. The lower its iron content, the older it is. Stephen Keller of the Australian National University says the amount of iron present in the star is less than 1/1,000,000th that of the Sun. And at number 9, staff at a Danish zoo received death threats after the euthanasia of a healthy giraffe. The Copenhagen Zoo says it killed the giraffe named Marius to avoid inbreeding and to make room for more genetically valuable specimens. A veterinarian shot Marius as he leaned down to munch on rye bread. After an autopsy, the giraffe was cut up in front of an audience that included children and fed to the zoo's lions, tigers, and leopards. Many people expressed revulsion on the zoo's Facebook page. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most in the last 24 hours. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. If you take a look today, this is interesting. The web hits is a video clip. Caden and Rain gets 74% happy, 9% inspired, but you see an overwhelming number of red. The story that's gotten the most number of votes in the last 24 hours. Filipino Winter Olympians family mortgaged home for tickets to Sochi. It's 15% sad, 68% angry. That red leading to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that is Rappler's Newscast for today, Tuesday, February 11, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.